How's it going, guys? Today I am quite happy to be talking about Klaus, which came out in 2019, directed by Sergio Pablos and stars Jason Schwartzman, J.K. Simmons, Rashida Jones, Will Sasso, Joan Cusack, and Norm MacDonald. The film follows Jesper, a lazy and selfish postman who moves to Smeerensburg after his father threatens to cut him off if he doesn't make a name for himself. After befriending a reclusive toymaker named Klaus, their gifts melt an age-old feud and deliver a sleigh full of holiday traditions. And based off of the synopsis I just gave you guys, this film is a brand new take on the Santa Claus myth, and it does sit quite well. This film is really good, no surprise there. And the main draw of seeing this film, or at least one of the main draws, is the 2D animation. Good Lord, it is beautiful to look at. The 2D animation here is gorgeous. It is a very pretty film to look at. The character designs are great, has great lighting, has great shading on the environments and characters. It's very bright to look at. And it almost looks three-dimensional, if that's even possible. But it still has that 2D hand-drawn look quality to it. And it's a shame because it's also a reminder that Walt Disney Animation Studios don't do hand-drawn animated films anymore. Their last film being Winnie the Pooh from 2011. And while that was very good, it's really sad that that's where Disney have stopped doing hand-drawn animated films. And they should continue doing it because these studios and artists are using these older forms of animation to tell new stories for today. And of course, the animation is one of the biggest highlights of this film. And thankfully, the film is not style over substance. The narrative here is told quite well for the most part. And screenwriters Sergio Pablos, Zim Mahoney, and Zach Lewis do a really good job in telling this new origin story of Santa, although it's done through the perspective of the selfish postman Jesper, who over the course of the film learns how selfless acts can inspire others to also be selfless, and it's done quite well. And honestly, the highest praise I can give this film is that it's actually quite similar to Disney's The Emperor's New Groove. It is sort of like a Christmas edition of that film, and it has sort of shares similar character designs, humor, and even the arc for the main character. But if your film is being compared to The Emperor's New Groove, then it's pretty good. The whole voice cast does a really good job, although I want to highlight two voice actors specifically. First up, Jason Schwartzman as Jesper. He does a really good job giving this character the lazy and selfish personality that the character has at the start of the film. And he also does a good job in sort of exploring that character and transition into becoming more of a selfless person by the end. And then we have, of course, J.K. Simmons as the titular Klaus, or Santa Claus, if you want to call him that. He is great in the role. His character has a very tragic and heartbreaking backstory, but over the course of the film, after meeting Jesper, he starts to grow and become more of a social and jolly person. And then, of course, it eventually culminates in him becoming the Santa Claus that we all know and love. And the last part I want to talk about are the two antagonists in the film, the leading patriarchs of the rival clans. There's Axel Ellingbo, who's voiced by Will Sasso, and Mrs. Tammy Crumb, voiced by Joan Cusack. And they're both very good antagonists, and they're very good together. Although I will say I do prefer Joan Cusack's Crumb, as she is delightfully wicked in the role, and you really like watching her. Now, I do have a couple of issues with the film, unfortunately. First up is the relationship between Jesper and Alva, the school teacher, who's voiced by Rashida Jones. I do find the character quite interesting, but her scenes with Jesper doesn't really warrant them being in a relationship. By the very end, like she's mostly bitter towards Jesper, and so I didn't really think the film earned it. And the last issue I have with the film is its handling of the second act, third act low point for the character of Jesper. I wish it was, without giving away spoilers, I wish it was handled a little bit differently, like maybe the other characters were a bit more understanding, if that makes sense. It sort of came across as a little bit harsh to me. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I definitely recommend you check out Klaus. If you have a Netflix account, I definitely suggest giving it a watch. If you love The Emperor's New Groove, then you're in for a very good time. Like, think of it as The Emperor's New Groove Christmas edition. It's not the exact same film, but it has the same vibe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have one more video planned before Christmas, so stay tuned for that. If you want to like and subscribe, that would be great. Stay safe for everybody. Cheers, guys.